I had bought an apartment. I bought a co-op, my first real estate deal. I bought a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I paid $62,500, but I had no money left. And that was my last $62,000. So I had $1,500 left, and I put it in a stock trading account. August 3rd, 1983. By March 18th, 1987, my 30th birthday, I had over $30 million cash in that account.
Jeez.
So I had a member of Parliament on my board, a United States Senator, a member of Congress, and a parliamentary appointee who happened to be the Queen Mother's date for 25 years, Alexander Dumas. Alex, what's shaking, baby, little shout out. And I convinced the stock exchange that I could indeed take my company public. You know, there hadn't been a deal in like 2 years.
So what happened is what I did a month ago, I would do completely different today.
Correct.
But I was at the level that at that time, I thought I'd do the best. And a lot of time, it is my upbringing. It is. Our kids, our parents didn't know any better. They didn't know any better.
No, they didn't know any better.
And
you know what somebody told me? That's why they put erasers on pencils.
Yeah.
You know why? Because people make mistakes.
Welcome to Mastering the Inner and Outer Wealth with your host, Jarek Tadla, where we dive deep into the art of building freedom from the inside out. Together, we'll uncover practical strategies, real-life success stories, and expert insights to help you master your inner wealth and create the life you've always wanted. So let's get started.
welcome to Mastering the Inner Wealth and Outer Wealth with Jarek Tadla. Today we have Russell Mandell, and he is quite a story. We start talking about it, you know, through the Wall Street, through a lot of legal battles, through huge entrepreneur. And, you know, go ahead, Russ. Let's start. Let's tell people the truth immediately. Let's go to the heart.
What's shaking, Jarek? Thanks for having me today.
Thank you, brother.
By the way, we're sitting in a magnificent home.
Thank you.
On the water. We're staring at the intercoastal, yachts, a blue sea. I mean, it's magnificent.
Thank you.
Your home is just absolutely beautiful. The outside matches the inside, and vice versa. It's beautiful. He's got a beautiful family. He's got two beautiful dogs. He's got a great-looking team around him.
Thank you.
And I feel really privileged to be here, bro.
No, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for
I
having
appreciate
me.
all the kind words. Russ, it's funny how we just run into each other. We immediately start telling our story, and our story matches with a lot of, you know, whistles. And let's start Wall Street journey. How did it start? 1985, like, it's sick. Like, when you start telling me, I was like, guys, when you guys are going to hear this, like, you got to just do not press it forward, just listen to the full story. And I was like, just tell me more.
So it's, I get out of college. I graduate December of 78, University of Maryland. I finished in 3.5 years. And I hung out with like a really sort of young, hip crowd of guys because I used a lot of drugs and I drank a lot. And that made me very popular in school.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
With the wrong crowd, maybe.
With the wrong
but
crowd.
I thought it was the right crowd.
Okay.
I was a cool guy. And because I was, you know, taking drug quaaludes, smoking pot, I basically was aggressive with women, meaning I wasn't shy. I wasn't afraid to approach women. And, you know, much later on in life, I discovered that women really dig confidence in a man. And, you know, sometimes you think he's confident, but he's just really, he's drunk or stoned. Mm-hmm. And so I was always the guy that went out, a couple of guys go out, a couple of women go out. I would be the one to break the ice. I was the guy that always talked us into clubs, got us into the parties. But I was really, that was my focus, Jarek. I wasn't an Iron Man. I was a high school athlete, power lifter when I was young. But my father passed away when I was 16, very suddenly of a heart attack. He was my whole world. And I reacted very badly. I got very angry because I had a whole plan for my life. And the plan was to go to the University of Pennsylvania, mm-hmm. or to Columbia University, an Ivy League school, because I was qualified to get into all those different schools. And then my father passes away on the eve of a Jewish holiday. And the next week I find out that we were living the American dream. We owned nothing. Everything was mortgaged, borrowed, and leased. And so my plans, My dad was the bread earner. My mother was a homemaker, housewife. And now I had to go to work and figure out how I'm going to go to school and what my plans are for life. And I got very angry. I was very angry at the world, and I was very angry at God. And I was a good kid. And when my father passed away very suddenly, I realized that there's no God. There's no benevolent, loving God. My father was the best man I ever knew to this day. I still never met a man that had so much integrity and his ideals and his love for his family and the way he treated other people and all these different things. And so I realized God is a scam made up to keep us in line. And so I just said, I'm out. And I just sort of went crazy. And I just started drinking and drugging, and I was on the wrestling team and the football team, and I was powerlifting, and I was doing all kinds of things so I wouldn't feel.
To sedate the pain.
I was in too much pain.
Yeah.
You use the word sedate a lot. It's a great word. It's like a medical term.
Yeah.
The truth is I was medicating myself.
Yeah, self-medicating.
Driving fast cars, crashing cars, going 150 miles an hour on streets, going to red lights, stop signs. I just had I don't want to call it a death wish, but, there's many ways to kill yourself, right? So by doing crazy-ass stunts, acting stupidly, you could say is a form of attempted suicide in an odd way, right? When you do stupid things. So I graduate from school, and I'm lost. So what does a kid like me do is he goes to sell stuff. I'm a good sales guy. I like people. I can be persuasive, convincing. So I go in to start selling stuff. And this is in 1979. And quickly I become a top sales guy at this firm, this handbag firm. But I don't particularly care for work. I don't particularly care for handbags. I just want to party. I want to be important. New York City was a spot in the 1980, 1979, disco, the Bee Gees, Studio 54. What? I mean, it was like the center of the world, New York City, for fun. And but I was hanging around with really aggressive, ambitious men in college. And that saved me because one day my friend says, listen, I'm going to go down to Wall Street and become a stockbroker. I said, what does that mean? I didn't even know what it meant. He goes, well, I don't know either. He says, well, I'll figure it out. So, he goes down to Merrill Lynch. He gets licensed. He goes to Lehman Brothers. First year, he makes $400,000. He's sitting in an office, dialing his phone, drinking coffee. I said, what do you do? He says, I drink coffee. I get on the phone at 8. Sometimes I stay till 8. Sometimes I stay till 6. And I just basically pitch guys. I said, what do you pitch them? He goes, we have scripts. It's all written down. I said, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, I'll make about $800,000 next year. I said, $800,000? I'm killing myself. I'm traveling this country. I'm on the road 3 weeks every month, lugging suitcases, going in airports. Remember, we had no cell phones in those days.
Yeah.
There's no Google. There's no internet. When you say goodbye, you leave. You got to go find a phone to call someone. No one knows where you are. You have no way to find instant information like where are the clubs at, where this one. You have to, old school, talk to this one, talk to that one, make friends, make conversation just to get around, right? So I decide that I'm going to go to work on Wall Street, even though I'm making about $150,000 a year, which in 1981 was real money, right?
Yeah.
And I had a credit card. They bought me a new Mustang, a beautiful white Mustang, and they paid to garage it in New York City, which is no joke. And but my friends, he's now making $800,000 a year. What? Second year. So I get into the E.F. Hutton training program. Now, one thing I should have learned about myself. This was my best friend in the world. We did everything together. You remember when you were a young guy and hanging out with your boys and going out and all those good things that guys do? I asked him if he would help me, like get into the stock market business. And he said, I can't do that. This was my brother. I did everything for this kid, and he had done everything for me. So I couldn't understand why he wouldn't put in a good word for me or help me out. But it's because I had a bad drug problem. and he thought I would be an embarrassment. But instead of thinking of it like that, I thought, fuck him. He's a selfish dude. I don't need him. He's not so special. He's certainly not better than me. If he can do it, I'll do it. Mm-hmm. So I fight my way down. I figure out a way. I get down, I get hired at E.F. Hutton. And quickly, I'm like one of the top guys for the, you start off new with a bunch of guys, 130 guys. I turned out I'm number one or number two in everything. New accounts, money raised, commissions generated, etc. I'm top one or two pretty much everywhere I ever went. I was just good at it. Now, I didn't particularly love it. I'm not going to lie. But I needed to get money. If you want to be a big shot in New York City, it costs a lot of money. I mean, you got to look like this. I mean, come on. How much was that watch? How much were those shoes? Seriously, the belt. You understand, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a guy like you can wear a T-shirt and jeans, but your accessories are going to cost, a couple $100,000 probably. Mm. So if you want to be a player, you got to pay. You want to go to dinner. You want to go park your car in New York City. I mean, they charge you $50 for a half hour today.
Yep.
But I'm just saying, so for normal people, it's crazy. But in my sick mind, it's just a matter of I go get it. I'm just going to get it. I'm a good money getter. So I become a top guy wherever I am. I'll never forget, I started like August 3rd, 1983 at E.F. Hutton, and I had $1,500. And it killed me. I took $1,500, I deposited in a stock account because I needed money because I was buying drugs, I was buying alcohol, I was buying dinners. I had bought an apartment. I bought a co-op, my first real estate deal. I bought a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom spread apartment. The bedrooms were on different sides of it. Nice, it was about 1,800 square feet in a co-op, luxury co-op in Murray Hill. I paid $62,500. I got what they call the inside price through a connection. Mm-hmm. And, but I had no money left. And the maintenance was like $1,000 a month. And I used to rent out the other bedroom just so I could get money because we used to pay for everything. But that was my last $62,000. So I had $1,500 left, and I put it in a stock trading account. August 3rd, 1983. By March 18th, 1987, my 30th birthday, I had over $30 million cash in that account.
Jesus.
And I had spent about $5 million, and people think I'm just throwing out a number. Mm-hmm. It might have been more because I was wild. Wild. We gambled $250,000 in a Vegas.
And that didn't stop there, though.
No, that was
that was just the beginning.
This was the beginning of my journey. Yeah. But so, and I tell the story. The crash of 1987 was almost like the death of my father. It was like it happens. Terrible things happen in life. There's no guarantee. Life is going to be easy peasy and all sunshine and rainbows.
How much you lost in the first crash?
In 1987. I watched $220 million turn into about $20 million. That's my client's money.
That's 1987.
My $30 million turned into $2 million. And I always kept $1 million in the house, cash. I always kept cash now. But I was down to like $2 million. But I felt like that was it. It was over. I was dead. I'm so used to having a lot of money. But not only do you lose your money, you can't make any money. It's very hard to make money. In bad times like that. Now, the truth is, as I became a more mature, sober man, that's the easiest time to make money.
Yep.
We said it outside.
Yes.
Where there's violence, there's opportunity.
Exactly.
When it looks like shit, now I'm interested.
Now I'm interested. When
everybody thinks it's great,
yep.
Sell.
Yes.
Right? When the ducks quack, feed them. These are great expressions, so you understand. When it's shiny and nice and everybody wants it, I'm selling it every day.
Yeah.
That's how I see the markets, real estate. People don't understand. It doesn't matter what the market is, commodity, currency, real estate, the stock market. You make your money on the buy side. You buy it right, you never lose. Just a matter of how long and how much. But if you buy it right, you can't lose.
Yep.
Same thing with a wife. Oh, no. Honey, we're just making conversation. My ex thinks you're the jam. She thinks very highly of you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Stephanie. She set this up, and she says, you got to meet this guy. This is a great guy. She does a lot of research on people, and she really, I see now why.
Thank you.
But I didn't understand. Coming here, I'm driving a Pompano. I'm like, where am I going? But so I got crushed in 87. Not just financially, because really it doesn't matter to me. Money's a commodity. I make money, I lose money. It's okay. But my spirit was broken. I stopped believing in the market. Just like when my dad died, I stopped believing in God. Right? So I equate things in the material world with, I impose greater meaning to them, if you know what I'm saying. It's nonsense. But, this is my story, and I'm just telling the truth. I'm to some extent, I'm very shallow that way. So I'm broken. I'm doing dry. I spent, in 1988, I spent the whole year basically smoking crack. Barely going to work. Made no money. I was still licking my wounds from the crash in 87. When I should have been out there buying, acquiring. Like today, when things are bad, I'm like a little boy because I understand opportunity. And when everybody's doing great, there's very little opportunity. When prices are high and everybody's a genius and everything's working, torture for me. But when there's blood in the streets, that's when the real men step up and say, hey, I got this. Here's the opportunity because you can buy right. And but in a good time, everybody sounds like a genius. Everybody's a tough guy. Everybody's a smart guy, right?
That's exactly it. It's when everybody is easy for everybody, then it's time to kind of step back. Just let it do
100%. Take a nap.
Yep.
I get it.
Ride the wave.
100%.
Ride the wave.
I love it. I've made all my capital in the worst of times. So now it's 1988. I'm smoking crack. This new thing came to New York City. I'm like trying everything. And by 1990, the $30 million I had by 1987 is all gone. All the custom money. I'm no longer, I'm just a wreck. And I decide to get sober. So I go to a hospital up in New Canaan, Connecticut, the Silver Hill Foundation, a little shout out. 28 days changed my life. Somebody came to me today. His daughter has got a problem. So I recommended Silver Hill, New Canaan, Connecticut. It's a great rehab. It's a detox. It's a hospital. In my opinion, the best in this country. And so I went up there, changed my life. I stopped using drugs. I stopped drinking. And I discovered the 12-step programs. They call it Alcoholics Anonymous, all those different things, all the 12-step programs. And the problem for me in AA, I took to it right away because I loved hearing stories about recovery. I loved hearing stories that show the strength of the human spirit. I loved that. The problem was they kept telling me, God was in a bunch of the steps, and God was still dead to me. I didn't get it. And they said, listen, God just means good, orderly direction. God just means something in the universe that's greater than you. And eventually I was able to say, well, the ocean was greater than me, the way the waves keep coming and keep coming and keep coming, and nature and all these different things. And so I started working in AA, in the program, going to meetings every day. I got out of rehab. I went back to Wall Street. And within 4 months, I'm the top producer at the firm again, at a Wall Street investment bank. And I'm making $100,000 a month. This is in 1991. And I'm beginning, the healing of Ross as a human being. I realized that I had never really been whole because I was a kid when I was 16 when my dad died, and I started using drugs and alcohol alcoholically then. I stopped maturing emotionally. I didn't feel anything because, when you're numb and you're stoned and you're drunk and, you're exhausted from excessive workouts, etc., you can't feel much, And so
I'm not saying anything because I can relate to the story so much.
I believe that.
I
get it.
We have to get broken. It's I lost connection with God, the alcohol, drug, this stuff. It's
all of it
because what does any substance, it just completely lacks the chakra and the connection, and we lose completely connection. We lose ourselves.
Yeah,
and we shallow, we empty, and we become the victim of the whole world.
Correct. We become so now that I'm clean and I'm a vessel, and all of a sudden, I don't want to say that I found God, but people that know me say God found me. I just felt empowered, emboldened. Life became easy. Business became fun. I actually started liking what I was doing, and the stock markets when I started. Back in 1983, the Dow Jones just made 1,000 for the first time. Like a month ago, it was 45,000. So it's been a steady increase. And back then, you would call people, and people weren't in the market. Today, everybody's in the market. It's like a sporting event. You put on TV, and you see the tape, and they rah, 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 on the sidelines, all these jokers coming on and cheering and making statements, etc. So the funny thing is a lot of these guys that come on TV now, they all worked for me or with me. And, I know from years in the business, it's very cute. But I'm clean and sober. I'm in the business. And I meet this woman, this young woman. I'm 38. She's 22. She's a beautiful, tall, built blonde. Not the best person I ever met in my life. She became my girlfriend, my fiancée. We got married. We bought a home. We bought dogs. We had kids. What a great life. I'm so grateful and I'm so full. And bought a house on the beach. As a wedding present, I bought her a beautiful house on Long Island, right on the ocean, right on the sand,
I love Long Island.
Yeah, and we were in the city, 45 minutes into the city. We had a beautiful apartment in Trump Tower, and my kids are born in city hospitals, and then we take them to the beach, and little bassinets and the strollers and the whole thing. And, I loved that whole time in my life. It was really, really beautiful. And in business, I just kept growing. So I started a firm called, I started a couple of brokerage firms. Mm-hmm. My first, I opened up in early 95. By the middle of 97, I sold it already. Made a lot of money, retired, went to the beach. And then I watched what happened in the end of the 90s. 2000 with the dot-com crash, Enron, WorldCom, the too big to, the Enron fraud, the WorldCom fraud, the Lucent Technologies. Amazon went from 300 to 3 in 6 weeks. The end of the world, part one. And like I said, when things are bad, I get excited. So I put up $9 million, and I started a new firm called Sky Capital. And I wrote this whole thesis, and it turned it into a private placement document telling everybody what I was going to do. I said, this is not a downturn. This is a correction. It's going to be like this for a while, and I'm going to take advantage of it. I'm going to buy assets in the brokerage business for 5 cents on the dollar. And I bought 8 firms. And right when things started picking up, bam, 9/11. The Arab terrorists drove planes into the World Trade Center, shut down the stock markets for more than a week, shut down air travel in America for more than a week. We went through 2 world wars in America. They never closed the stock market, not one day. But 9/11, they shut down the markets. Yeah. There were no deals, nothing. Not in New York, not in America, not in England, not anywhere in the world. They was dead. The markets were dead. So I went to the London Stock Exchange and said, you know what? I got a deal for you guys. They look at me like, what? This is a pushy American with a big fat gold Rolex on. It seems to offend people in Europe. The gold Rolex. And I said, I want to take my company public. And they said, good for you. I said, no, I want to take my company public here. They said, who are you? I said, so I had a member of Parliament on my board, a United States Senator, a member of Congress, and a parliamentary appointee who happened to be the Queen Mother's date for 25 years, Alexander Dumas. Alex with Shaken Baby, little shout out. And I convinced the stock exchange that I could indeed take my company public, even though there hadn't been a deal in like 2 years. And bam, I got it public, up 40% day one. Never been done before. Up 40% day one. They were so excited, the stock exchange made me go on national television in England, on the BBC. And I basically told my story like I'm doing today, a little bit, 9 minutes on national TV, called CEO on the Hot Seat. Broadcast to the whole country at prime time, like 6 o'clock at night, supper time in the UK. And they basically said to the citizens, you see, this American came here and went public and everybody made 40% their first day. It's time to come back into the stock market. And they actually put my picture on the cover of the annual report of the AIM Stock Exchange, which is the NASDAQ of London. Mm-hmm. And I did that, and now I'm public, and I bought a UK bank and broker-dealer that had done $500 million in revenue and turnover the year before. I bought them out for $120 million, mostly in stock. And I was gifted 30,000 square feet of the best real estate in the city in London. You come out of the Cannon Street tube station and you see Sky Capital UK Limited. I was a celebrity there. I was in the newspapers all the time. They said I was like Gordon Gekko.
Yeah.
You know, from the movie Wall Street, the first one.
What happened? If you made the money, you made the money.
But I'm making money not just for me, for everybody.
Exactly.
Everybody's getting rich on me. The lawyers, the accountants, the stock market people, the exchanges, the regulators. Everybody's making money. And why did I go public in London? So people think I was avoiding something in America. I was. But it wasn't that I couldn't do it legally. What happened was, it's like in the property business. Sooner or later, in some counties, you're going to have zoning, commissions, associations, organizations, agencies. Everybody wants their piece. Okay, the more developed a country is, the more developed their governments are, the more tolls you got to pay, the more toll roads, the more agencies, associations, organizations. What does that mean? It means the prices go up, costs go up.
Yep.
So you couldn't go public in America, a small company, for less than $1 million 25 years ago. Today it's double, triple that. But you couldn't go public for less than $1 million. I went public over in UK for like $250,000. I got twice as much capital, half the regulation, and twice the liquidity. It had never been done. And a regulated American company had never gone public on the London Stock Exchange until I did it in 350 years. 2 years later, I raised $1 billion, and I did it again. I took a fund public. After that, every big shot, Goldman Sachs came to me. I spoke to their partners, explained to them how I did it. Hedge funds wrote papers on me that still exist today. Other firms took note and copied what I did. I was just honored at a securities conference. Even though I went to prison for securities fraud, I was just honored less than 4 weeks ago at a securities conference in the Boca Raton Hotel, just so you know. And by the way, the guys in England have invited me back to do deals. Crazy. So what I didn't realize, I showed the world how you can go public over there in a non-American stock exchange, whether it's London, Frankfurt, Dubai, Switzerland, Hong Kong. You show me a foreign stock exchange, I'll show you how you can go public and bring it right back into America for bupkis, for very little money. All legit, all perfectly legal. The problem, I found out many years later, is that some of the banks in lower Manhattan believe that I cost Wall Street over $100 billion in fees and trading profits. And that's probably true, because hundreds of companies went public on foreign stock exchanges, including the big boys. All the big boys did it. KKR, for example, $1 trillion under management, private equity. They went public over there, and they swing it around when they're ready. They register they become a fully reporting company, and they list their shares in America, or they deposit their shares in a Swiss bank or a European bank, and they issue American depository receipts that trade on the stock exchange for like $50. And guess what? Perfectly legit. And I created that. And so, I know I did some cool things in my life, but that's something when you spend your adult life in an industry, I have that to point to. I'm the guy that created that footprint, and I'm very proud of that. I know that they punished me for it, even though it's completely legal, just like they tried to punish Donald Trump and take his company away and prevent him from running. He's a freaking convicted felon right now in the White House. Yeah. He's a convicted felon in the White House right now. Convicted. He didn't do a fucking goddamn thing wrong. So I'm sorry I'm cursing, but that's the beautiful thing about podcasting. There's no FCC.
There is no.
We're not regulated. If you haven't figured that out, that's why I'm in this business, because those are some of the requirements I have. Okay. I'm not interested in being in a regulated business. I have some fools regulating me, some suits sitting in an office in Washington, don't know jack shit about business, and they're telling me what's right and wrong and all that. Guys like us are a little smarter than that. Mm. So, all right. So, one day I'm in my office. I'm planning to make a big move with my business. I'm going to get out of the retail business. I'm going to approach all the clients. We had 10,000 multimillionaires as clients, all outside of America. And I was building an offshore hedge fund in the Bahamas. I had the president of the Bahamas willing to be on my board, just so you know. I had lunch with him several times over there. I spent $1 million setting everything up. And then one day, 40 FBI agents come to my firm with guns, with their little parkas, and they lock down the floor, and they say, everybody freeze, FBI, freeze, freeze, freeze. And I'm like, what? What is going on? Like we're a mafia. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? And then the lead agent, throws me up against the wall and says, Mr. Mandell, if you give us the drugs and the guns, it's going to go a lot easier on you. What? I said, what are you talking about? I'm sitting there having a board meeting with a senator, a member of the House of Representatives, congressman, a member of parliament, and a parliamentary appointee, all in my office in a board meeting. And they come at us like we're some sort of, like
drug dealers,
some sort of Venezuelan gang. I mean, it was the craziest thing ever. He then realizes that he got some bad intel, pushes me out of my own office, and he gets on the phone, I guess, with the U.S. attorney, and they're fighting on his cell phone because it was the whole thing was a bad search, and it's all wrong. Wrong. They had called every member of the New York press was waiting in the lobby of my building. They're calling up New York Times, AP, UPI, Reuters, BBC. What? They're not allowed to do any of these things, the government, but they did it. They do that. It's America, and we like to say it's the best country in the world, but, we're full of shit. Mm-hmm. There's great opportunities here, but there couldn't be more bullshit that comes from our press and our media, which now everybody's finally figured out. They've been unmasked now. There's no more subtlety. We're lying to you, and you know it, and we know it, but we're not going to stop. That's what goes on right now. So it's so crazy. They've always called me a disruptor. But now I tell it like it is. They robbed me for millions and years of my life, and they crushed my family and all these different things. So if I didn't shut up then, I'm not going to shut up now.
There you go. Now we can speak. Speak the truth.
You're an iron man. I have an iron mouth.
Yeah.
So, it's been quite an adventure. I will tell you that because we had a nice chat outside. And, when people are asked about me and they say, if there has to be one word to describe you, what's that word, And the word that everybody comes up with is resiliency. Because I just keep going forward. I used to fight. I got into boxing and mixed martial arts and all that. And they used to call me the Rhino because I charge forward. I'm not very good fighting backwards. If I'm not going forward, I'm a little confused in the ring or the cage. You know what I mean?
Where do you think the resilience was built? Through the pain? Do you think that, because of the death of your father at such an early age that you carry the anger and you just...
To be really candid with you, and I don't know if I've said this before publicly, and I've done umpteen interviews, I've been on 50 podcasts and all that. When my father passed away, when my father was taken and he died, I didn't really care if I lived or died. When a lot of guys talk smack, I was in prison, everyone talks shit.
Yeah.
Everybody's full of shit. I'm not. When I tell you I wanted to die in my life so many times, I didn't care if I lived or died. In fact, I think I went out of my way to challenge death. And I looking back over my life, I can't understand. I have so many friends and like girlfriends that have passed on that lived more careful lives. Cancer, heart attack, COVID, different things. And I'm here today talking with you, feeling pretty good in my new Psycho Bunny shirt. And, moving forward in my life. So I don't know if, it's a path that was chosen for me, by destiny. Greater things are in play than we know. I often believe that kind of a thing. But it's no conscious decision, I just don't know quit. I don't ever stop. I've retired twice or three times in my life, but it doesn't last long because...
No, just talk about it. It's just like what it...
It's like death. Like, I just want to do stuff and be productive and make things happen and all this good stuff. And I could also play it safe and do something and just be middle of the road. That's also not my kind of thing, I like to push the envelope. I like to be challenged. I like to accomplish things. I like to be proud of what I'm doing and who I am. I'm in a whole new thing now, being an influencer, trying to help people, educate people, entertain people, all these different type of things. I finally...
How are you doing on faith?
Faith? So I walked out of a 10,000 square foot house with left behind a gorgeous woman by any man's standards, gorgeous, with two beautiful little kids, 14, 11, two daughters, 4 dogs. I walked out of that house September 10th, 2014, 11 years ago, and I checked into the Miami prison, FCI Miami, and they put me in a cell, 66 square feet, with these 2 big black guys, very fit guys, with a little toilet right in the middle of the room. And they put me in that room and they locked the door. And I sat there after meeting these guys, finally being welcomed. And there's a cute story to that. I sat on my steel bunk with the padding was like this thick. Seal the bunk. A triple bunk bed on a cement wall. Bugs everywhere, dirty, it's in the block. And I said, I got a 12-year sentence, which means I'm going to jail for... this is my life for the next 10 years. And if I told you that I'm a tough guy and I survived, I'm lying. They say if you want to find God, go to prison. or go to the hospital to the ICU
Yeah.
or the pediatric cancer ward. So that's where you'll find people that embracing God in the worst places on earth, really. And I had a strong faith in God. And I do believe God sent me to prison for a reason. And there were guys that in prison that will say, the reason you're here is because God sent you to help me, to save me.
Yeah.
I educated and coached so many guys inside. And a lot of them now will follow me on social media, and they give testimony to me and all these good stuff, you know. I don't really know, Jarek, what my purpose is yet, but I do feel a calling to build a platform that will allow me to deliver some sort of important message somewhere down the road, or to influence people for some greater purpose that I know. I'm very spiritual. I have a very, very strong faith, because I laugh sometimes. I say, what the hell you want from me? What do you want from me? What am I supposed to do? Go to Pompano.
Go to
I'm sending you to meet a Polish brother.
There you go.
You go, I'm sending you to meet a Polish brother. Everything about you, bro, is so well put together. I walked in, I was like, whoa. You know, I was hoping you were like, you know, the security guy. I mean, the guy's an Iron Man. You can't tell. He's sitting in a comfy chair. He's lean. He doesn't have a shred, not even a trace of fat. He's in his 50s. An Iron Man. He's beautiful. The smile, the whole thing.
Still struggle like we all do.
You got it all, bro.
Well,
you got it all.
Remember, I forgot about myself.
Maybe this is why God put us together today. I'm looking at all those ribbons. What?
That's
what?
That's what we talk about. Like, you know, we were looking for the validation from outside world, and we forgot about ourselves. And that's my mission. That's my purpose.
Tell me.
To help people. My mission is to break the awareness of suicide, of the depressions, of the mental, you know, because if you say mental health, it's like very kind of like the stigma. It's a bad word.
It's a bad stigma.
And it's the brain health, the mind health, the emotional intelligence. You know, we are men, we are hiding, you know, so long. And I've been hiding so long. I was putting the mask in buying more businesses, buying more planes, more houses, more. And I was looking for the outside validations, and truly I had everything within me. It just through the life got taken away. And I'm like you, same story. I lost the faith in God, you know, and guess what? When I hit the bottom of the bottom, I was like, why me? Oh, now, you know, why we always find the God when we go through the worst part, when we go through the top, like we think we the God.
Well, that's what I tell the story. I said, when I got sober, right? My first, you know, back in 1990. And, you know, I started to really find God. God found me, believed in God, practiced the 12 steps. And at some point, I had 4,000 people working for me. I'm worth, you know, over $100 million liquid. I became God because I was like a God over all these people.
You know that every morning, because that's what, when I was at the age of 33 to 35, that's what I thought. Like every morning now I wake up and I said, God, I'm sorry. I thought that I'm God. Like before I open my eyes, that's my prayer every morning. Like I apologize to God for me thinking that I'm God. And because I got all this stuff and the entitlement, and I become cocky as fuck. You know what I mean? I thought that I owned the world. And that's when now I'm paying for the sins. Because there was nothing out there. So I have to go through the journey.
I think the thing to understand men like us, God gave us all this stuff. See, I used to think.
But we didn't know how to use it.
But I'm going to tell you, because what happens is, if you don't figure it out, God says, all right, watch this, and he takes it all away.
Yep.
The story of Job, I don't know if you know the story of Job in the Bible. Job, you know the story of Job?
Yeah.
So you understand, I mean, he had everything, and then he had nothing.
Yeah.
And God, they say, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh. I'm live testimony.
Yep.
I got everything back, and then the government said, you know what? Now they're taking it all away. The United States government. I was so big. I was like, nobody can touch me. Nobody.
they can.
Listen, the Creator can. Whoever created this whole universe, this whole thing. I mean, I was listening to something, one of these snippets from a physicist, and a famous physicist. These are some of the brightest guys in the world, like Einstein, and Musk is a physicist and all that. And I was talking about there were 200 billion suns in our universe. So our sun, and there's nothing special about our sun based on the whole universe. They've counted over 200 billion suns, over 1 trillion galaxies. Now, a galaxy is like hundreds of planets, and the whole thing. The sheer magnitude, we're like little less than a grain of sand on the biggest beach in our world.
Yeah.
So we all think we're so self-important. But Einstein, who is arguably the smartest guy ever, he states that unequivocally our universe was created. Our world was created. There's no chance any of this happened. This was just like, the Bibles tell us, was created. It might be a simplistic explanation because we're simple creatures, really. But, God giveth, God taketh. I believe wholly in the concept that there's a creator and that we all have a piece of God in us and that we all have a purpose. And, some people are very lucky early in life. They discover their purpose.
Dude, I talk about it all the time.
Really?
Seriously.
I didn't know.
And I never, and it took me years. That's why I was so miserable. Because I could not find my purpose.
Yes.
So what happened is when I retired at the age of 28 first time, it was so early suddenly because that's the purpose, to provide, to have the financial freedom. That was my purpose. And then suddenly I'm 28, I'm dumb as fuck. And I have all this stuff, and like, what to do next?
Now what?
I go travel a little bit, and then I go back out of retirement, and I do it again. And it's like, it was constantly, going back and forth. And until, I almost took my own life, and I realized that we don't talk about it enough. You know what I mean? And I realized, I shared the story with my friend, and he goes, yeah, like, I have the same thing. What? Then I open up to second, third guy, fourth guy. I'm like, we all going through the own journey. And we have those voices. We have those, we have like the depressions. We have the not enoughness. That's why I wrote the book, Not Enoughness. We have the not enoughness, through the coaches, through the teachers, through parents, consciously, unconsciously.
Right.
All the wounds, all the trauma, all the bad stuff that happened to us. But you already know, we learn only from the bad shit. I didn't learn anything from successes.
No, you learn from your losses.
From the losses, from the lessons, from the failures. And what does it mean? And then I become stronger. And that's why, like, your nickname is Resilience. Because what happened is, in order to be resilient, you got to get screwed so many times. Oh. And when you talk, like, it can't get any worse. There is no bottom of the bottoms.
Don't ever say you can't get worse.
Exactly.
I said that my whole life. And exactly. Worse.
Yes. There's worse. There's no bottom of the bottom. And also there's no top in the top.
Yeah.
So this is like, you can enjoy the journey and become, and let's see who you become, not the destination. You know what I mean?
I saw this great thing on social media. It's not the journey, it's not the destination.
Who you become.
It's the company you keep along the way. Mm-hmm. People are great. Like meeting you today, what a treat. It's just a treat coming to your home.
But it's a connection. We connected in a matter of seconds.
Yes. Once we met, though.
Yes.
We had to physically be in each other's presence.
I think there was a huge wake-up call during the COVID. God gave us COVID to wake the fuck up.
Maybe.
It's like you guys talk on the Zooms, you guys talk to this, like there's no connection. Because we truly, we have relationships, wife, friends, children.
Correct.
There's relationships that can be taken away. The connection is not. But we don't have a connection with ourselves, so we cannot connect with other people. Because we need connection. It's even if you have nothing, when you have somebody to connect with, you have a people,
100%.
you have a loved ones, you happy. Like you can be on the beach, or you can be in 6-star hotel flying, 737 on the private jet. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Or you can go to the floor seats at the NBA finals, or you can just watch on the game on the TV with a friend that you're completely connected with.
I had no money when I was a kid.
Exactly.
You know what? I had the best times.
Exactly.
Because I was with people that I cared about. We were laughing. We were having fun. We were going on adventures, all these good things. Connection. I agree with you. But, coming to see you today, what a treat, because I had no expectation.
Good.
I had no expectation. I want you to know that. It's just really a wild thing. Like, it's really so cool. Yeah. I had a man cave like this, very similar to this, at my house right before I went to prison.
This is what I call a man cave.
It's a man cave.
It is a man cave.
I had the same thing on the walls, the same designer built this whole thing out.
Everything's got a story. So anything, any book, anything, like everything's got a story. So it's like a talking point. And this is also, it's my like podcast studio. But also, like, if we're not recording, this stuff goes away, and this is when I read, when I meditate, when I pray.
You hang out.
I mean, I have the views, I have, and now I have a people that I can connect with. You know what I mean? Because I have relationships that are transactional? Yes, we need them. In a business, we need them. Everybody needs something for something. But also, I was entire life looking for connection, but I couldn't now find a connection with myself. That's why I almost took my own life, having everything. Like, I don't know what people tell me at the funerals, like, motherfucker, like, this guy had everything. I had everything I did not have myself. And I'm filling the bucket right now, you know what I mean? And I'm just meeting great people that also want to serve, have the mission, because through sharing our story, we can help somebody else.
There's no question. And if you really think of God, let's just say, right, and we try and bring him to a human understanding. I mean, the reason he made guys like us is because we have something to share. We have something to share. I mean, we've been productive our whole lives. And I believe that God wants us to be productive. And for the first time in human history, this meeting here today, this recording, can be literally seen or heard
globally
by 8 billion people.
I love this shit, yes.
Never before in human history.
Nope.
Did a Polish kid and a Ukrainian kid have a chance to meet in South Florida.
You said it, in 19, there was no phones, no nothing. And
nothing.
Now we can connect it immediately. And then even one sentence, your one sentence or my sentence can change somebody's life who's listening.
Oh, it's going to. I promise you it's going to. I already know because I'm getting tremendous feedback from people. I just started this. But, imagine you yanked from your life and dragged into federal prison for a paper crime that they created. And you get out and you don't know what to do. And you see a guy like Ross Mandell and you say, motherfucker, I'm whining. I did 2 years in camp. This fucking guy just did 112 months. And if he's positive, I can be positive. And think about a Polish kid, coming to the United States, coming somewhere in Europe, maybe in Poland. He sees a guy like you and says, wow, if he could do it.
Yes.
It's possible.
Yes, you don't have to be smarter. You don't have to. It's like it's funny. When I sign my book, I always sign it. You got everything you need already within you.
Correct.
And what happened is then parents, friends, coaches, teachers, priests, brother, sister, it just takes it away.
The world takes it away.
The world, the society, the expectations. And it's like people ask, like, Yara, give me one advice. Motherfucker, invest in yourself. That's it. Invest in, we are the biggest assets.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
I get it.
We are the biggest asset. Love yourself. Take care of yourself. You sober, I'm sober. Don't put this shit in you. It's gonna you're gonna lose the bottle.
Distraction.
Yeah. You're gonna lose the bottle in your head with the freaking, you know what I mean? and the rest will come. You're gonna meet the people, and remember, if you don't know shit, you don't even know how to ask questions. When you start, you
don't know the questions to ask you.
Exactly. So that's why you're not gonna get the answers. So now we have like the internet, everything is global. You can actually get the informations. You know what I mean?
Everything you want.
And then ask quality questions and the better quality questions so you get a better quality answer. And that's why it's quicker and quicker to get anywhere. That's why younger and younger generations are getting wealthier. Correct. That's why I think my voice is so important, because I got to the top too quickly that I was empty. Because now, it's like you have 25 years old kids that are freaking wealthy as hell. Through the internet, through
Bitcoin, through crypto.
Bitcoin, through crypto, even through TikTok.
Right. Influencers,
those kids are making $20,000, $30,000.
They don't know what's coming. They don't know what's coming in their lives.
Exactly, because they cannot forget about themselves. And they have access to drugs, to women. And, we all had it. We both fucking guilty here. So we all went through the stages.
I plead guilty to that.
Yeah, well, we all did.
Yeah.
But I think we got to share the stories, because it's after that's a reset time. That go fuck it up, but don't go there. Just don't stay there. You know what I mean? See, because sometimes like I tell you, don't do that. And then until you do it on your own, it's like, oh, fuck, that was painful.
Right.
That was painful.
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah, it's easier. You know what I mean? That's like people are giving me advices on like, let's say I was going through divorce. Jarek, this. I'm like, shut the fuck up. My story is different. I did not listen to anybody. And then a few years later, shit, everybody was right.
Well, yeah.
Like everybody give me and I'm like, I wasn't ready to listen.
You weren't ready to listen.
Because my conscious level, I was so blocked. I was so,
I
you know what I mean?
I get it.
It's like just, no, you don't know. Like
I'm different.
Yes.
I'm different. You don't know.
You don't know.
I don't even.
And then
the hand goes up.
And then I'm like, motherfuckers, they were all right.
I should have listened.
I shouldn't listen.
Yeah, that's my life story.
How do I tell people? So to be... How do we share, like, for the younger audience, or even like people my age, like, because I got awakened freaking so late. How do we be more open to, because the one conversation one sentence, one word can change somebody else.
It often does, but see, here's where I feel as if this is where God has affected me, and this is a great conversation. I don't have the answers. I just know the mission. God's going to work that out for me. I just know that what's right to do, what's right for me to do, is to share my experiences, my strengths, my hopes. For someone to look at you, to come to this home. I met your son. He let me in, initially. Beautiful boy. And you had hair once. You got a beautiful, beautiful hair.
Dude, I told him enjoy it because you're not going to have it.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Dude, he got so much hair.
Much hair. Good looking boy comes in. And this beautiful wife for you, a special lady. And the dogs and all these different things. And, to hear that a man like you thought about, taking your own life. What you don't know about me is I manned a suicide hotline on and off for 10 years. You don't know that. It was part of my service. When I came in, within the first 10 minutes, we're talking about that. I don't want to say anything. No. Because I never wanted to consciously kill myself. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I had this thing where I shared with a bunch of people. And I said, did you ever in your life lay in bed at night and say, God, I don't want to wake up tomorrow. I don't want to wake up tomorrow, please. I just don't want to wake up tomorrow. Like you don't want to do anything about it, but you're asking God to help you. And I was shocked because I've had many a night like that. Because I had so much fear and pain of what's coming. I couldn't take it. I didn't do anything about it. Maybe I took a lot of drugs. Maybe I drank too much. Maybe I drove a car when I couldn't even walk, all these different things. But most people have never had that feeling. Most people have never laid their head down at night and said, God, please take my life. Most normal people haven't experienced that. And I was very surprised to hear that. So I've asked many times, you know what I mean? Like, I've had real fear, real pain, real bad situations with sometimes bad people, the government, etc. And that's glad God doesn't grant all my wishes. But to hear a guy like you that looks like you with who you are and what you have, what you've accomplished in your life, because people look at you and they say, "Wow, this guy Jarek, he knows more than we do. He must know something we don't do." Because we don't have his house, we don't have his woman, we don't have his watch, we don't have this, we don't have, because we measure
But
each
that's
other.
what happened is this society is so screwed up because I was living by the expectation of society, and society judge you and give you level of respect, how much money
Correct.
you have. So what happened, I was winning the game, but I was losing the battle inside.
I understand.
The devil won with me. It's like, motherfucker, he would let's get on my side. So let me give you a little bit more. Let me give you a little bit more. And then I lost the battle.
I understand.
It was complete. Like, can you imagine, like, being at my age, like when 48 years, that was 4 years ago, so I was 48. I just realized that the first time, that's how, Jesus, like, ignorant I was, that, taking a mask on the oxygen mask at the plane first goes to you. I'm like, no, first my kids, first my wife.
Right, I'm last.
Somebody older, I'm last. Dude, now, fuck that shit. Me first. I gotta fill my bucket. I gotta fill my soul.
So you can help everybody. So you can help everybody.
I can help my kids. I can help I'm getting goosebumps. I can help my mom. I can help the older person. I can help everybody. But it's me first. And it's like if you tell people that's selfish. Sometimes we gotta be selfish because we gotta fill ourselves, our soul, our spirit. And then when this is full, then we connected our conscious mind with our brain, with our mind. And then we can go and serve. Because we are born on this earth to serve.
I believe that.
But what happened is when we become successful, we got so stuck up and we think that we better than everybody else.
Serves us.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I mean? And
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. And we forget. And you know what? Unfortunately, I know God doesn't punish us, but we get punished for all sins. Because I've done so much fucked up shit in my life too. And then I pay for it. And the emotional pain is so big, it's a lot bigger than physical pain.
Oh, my God.
Like I have a surgery. I was 6 months in hospital, 13 surgeries, broken hand, broken everything, almost lost my leg. And then when I was going through, through my depression,
real pain,
like when my kids left Jessica, I was screaming and yelling at home. The emotional pain was so big. They're people why would you want to kill it? I don't want to deal with it. I can't describe it. You cannot take a painkiller. You cannot take anything. And it's I don't want to be here anymore. But what happened is I was hiding my entire life. My brother did this. My father did this. My sister did this. God did this to me.
To me.
And
the victim.
And what happened is I become all those pain. You understand compound interest because that's how you make money in the stock market. This was compound pain.
I understand.
And this pain was just fucking
buried for so long.
There's
yeah, I get it, bro.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
But we men do not talk about it. We hide. We put a mask, We pick up a drink. We pick up drug. We pick up another woman.
That's another thing with society
we
about
get
being a
porn.
man.
Yes.
When I was a kid, I'll never forget, I fell down, I scraped my knee, and I started crying. I was and my parents turned around, "You're a man, men don't cry."
Yes.
I'm 5 years old.
Yep.
I don't think I ever cried after that again.
That's it. And
I was so embarrassed. You're a man. Are you a man or you a little boy?
Don't be a pussy.
Yeah.
Don't be a cry.
Bro,
what the hell?
What? I heard all that. Don't ever make an excuse. If something goes wrong, it's your fault. Don't ever complain. No one cares. Don't ever show weakness. All these different things. I was raised like that by wacko mother a little bit. And, so
But they didn't know.
They didn't know.
They didn't
That's
know.
how they were raised.
Because I screw up. I have 5 kids. I screw up even my kids, I screw up right now. My conscious level, it's higher. I still make mistakes, right?
Of course.
And I'm 52 years old, 53 years old in a week. Man, that still makes mistake. So what happened is what I did a month ago, I would do completely different today.
Correct.
But I was at the level that at that time, I thought I'd do the best. And a lot of time, it is my upbringing. It is our kids, our parents didn't know any better. They didn't know any better.
No, they didn't know any better.
And
you know what somebody told me? That's why they put erasers on pencils. Every time they make a pencil, they put an eraser on it.
Yeah.
You know why? Because people make mistakes. When I heard that, I was like, wow, that opened the door for me.
Yeah.
Stop being such a dick. You're okay. You make a mistake. It's part of being, the process. But you have to accept it as a man. When I was your age, I was a little more crazy than I am today. I hadn't gone to prison yet. You know what I mean? I was still a little high and mighty. Humility. If you read the scriptures, which I had a lot of time, so I studied, all the scriptures, Old Testament, the New Testament. I read the Quran, I read the Kabbalah, I read Hindi, I read Taoism. I studied all this stuff because I had all these years to basically, I went through my life and I used to say, oh, God, I wish I had the time. One day I'm going to read Longfellow and I'm going to read, Hemingway. I'm going to read Shakespeare. All my life I used to say, one day I'm going to read all that. Well, God was listening.
Dude,
he gave me 112 months in jail and I got a chance to read all of this.
Right. You're not going to believe it.
I'm telling you the truth.
So clearly, I have when you're successful, you have some haters, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I'm on the red notice on Interpol.
I
didn't know that. Yeah, I did. I do some business in Dominican Republic,
Yes.
and this guy, blah blah blah. And I'm not shitting with you. This is the true story. Listen, I'm flying to Poland. I have in my backpack, I have a Bible, and I have a surrender experience. I go in and it's like, no, Mr. Tadla, there's still, the stuff is not resolved. You still got issue. It's Sunday. The judge comes in on Monday, so we got to take you, to the jail, right? I didn't mind. It's my kids were, and Jessica, they were like in the hotel, so I can see through the jail window. It's like an airport jail.
Yeah.
They give me this, they took me there till next morning. And they said, and when I read with glasses. So they get me there. I was like, guys, can I take a book at least with me? And they said, they look at each other. They took everything, right? It's like, yeah, you can take the book. And they saw I have a Bible, right? And I'm reaching to get my my reading glasses. And they said, Mr. Tadla, come on. We're not doing this shit. No glasses. Like this can be a weapon, right? And I'm like, okay. So the Bible's got a little font, and the surrender experiment has got a bigger font. And this is about surrender to God. It's like a Bible, right? I mean, it's an amazing book. If you didn't read it, I really highly recommend it to read the book. The book is amazing. And they like me, so I read the whole book, and then I go, God, so you even lock me in jail so I can read this book uninterrupted.
He gave you the time.
He gave me the time to read. Like I'm like, seriously, and I have the book at least for like 3 months, and I never have a time to read it because there's always some more important book.
I get it.
Do you know what I mean? And then I came back, and my coach goes like, yeah, even God locked you in so you can surrender. It's like, you know what I mean? So sometimes the horrible shit happens to us, but it's good.
Well, there's a silver lining even in the dark clouds, they say. Yeah.
Yes.
They say that, if you look hard enough, you'll find God's purpose in everything.
Yes.
I mean, literally, they say that in Scripture and all that kind of thing. But all my life, I would say, someone would say, oh, did you read this? And I'd say, Macbeth, no, but one day I promise one day I'm going to sit back and I'm going to read Shakespeare and try and figure out what's so great about Shakespeare. One day I'm going to read Hemingway.
I never read Shakespeare. Wow.
Hemingway,
Wow.
Longfellow, all these amazing authors that everybody says are the greatest of all time. I through the course of my whole life, I would say that. One day I'm going to, and one day never came. I never had a chance. Then when I was 57 years old, I went to prison. For 9 years and 4 months, God put me aside, and there was nothing to do. After the first few days, you realize there's nothing to do but read and study. I went to the library. I watched every video you could watch. My first couple of months, I said, what am I going to do? So I said, Shakespeare, Longfellow, this one, that one, taking all these amazing books and realizing how great, the great men that came before us that left a litany of treasure. Treasure, like this Hemingway. I mean, I started reading Ernest Hemingway, right? You hear Hemingway your whole life, and I'm reading. He was a guy like us, Hemingway, apparently. Like a wild man, couldn't get enough, wanted more, hunter, fisher,
never enough.
Women, alcohol,
Yep.
more.
Yep.
You know, goes to fight battles, and
Yep.
he's like looking for war. I mean, like he's a wild guy. And I'm reading it, and I'm reading like the first page, second page. I'm like, this is weird. I don't really get this, first section, chapter, next chapter. By the time I'm, 3/4 away in the first book, I'm like, holy shit, I get it. Like, I got it. Shakespeare. It took me a while, but I got it. I was like, wow, this is what, it's like, the way men can express themselves through a written word 500 years later, it's still like, what?
It's still truth. Yeah.
What brilliance. So, God listens. He grants. What people used to say to me, be careful what you wish for.
Yes. And I always say, like, God listens. Like
God is listening.
When, like, go get quiet, go alone, get your own time. Even don't get locked up. Because God whispered, and then when you in your own head, then He's gonna have time to listen to those voices. So what is next for you?
I'm building a platform.
Okay.
That's why I'm here, right? I'm doing podcasts. I'm collaborating with guys like yourself, like-minded people, and even though there's a bunch of us, there's really not that many.
No, it's a close bubble.
There's maybe like 1,000 people in the whole world that we figure that are like it, doing what we're doing. And I wrote a business course called The Wealth Formula, and I have it currently listed on Lightspeed VT, Bradley's platform out of Henderson, Nevada. Mm-hmm. He's got the only interactive site on the internet, and it allows me to teach and offer real business, not a lot of the bullshit that is being sold to everybody online. I mean, a lot of guys...
Oh, don't go there. I already know where you're going. Jesus.
But a lot of guys profess to be...
But they never have done shit.
They never done shit in the real world. Right. They never did deals. They never made real money.
Right.
They were never accomplished guys, but somehow using social media, they became experts. I don't understand really. When it comes to real estate, I'm listening to you. I don't know anything about your business, but learning about you, you know something that a lot of guys don't know. Commercial, residential, real estate, certain business things, right? Otherwise, how are you here? What are you doing here? Yeah. I was on the front page of 100 newspapers around the world for good, for bad, and for ugly over 30 years. If they had social media starting in the 80s and 90s, I'd have 100 million followers because I killed it. I did so many crazy things and great things and wild things, and I was well known and all that. I was on television and different countries and all these different things, the things I accomplished in the real world, made, hundreds of millions of dollars and all that. And I'm on social media and I'm listening to some of these dopes that are talking about, strategies for trading some tertiary cryptocurrency. And, as soon as the market takes a dip, they're all going to get killed. And by the way, most of them just got killed. Because the Dow went down like 6,000 points because of the tariff nonsense with Trump.
Yeah.
Quality will always come back. But, a lot of the nonsense will not. And so you have a lot of people that profess to be giving stock market advice, business advice, real estate advice, but they've done anything.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's not so. I am determined to deliver quality educational stuff. I have a mastermind. This is very interesting based on our conversation. I have a mastermind program. So people pay like $6,000 and they get 10 hours of my time, and I take it very serious. And I'm on my laptop, and everything's recorded by a third party, and you get access to the tape. And I learn about you, and I get a chance to become part of your life and try and help you, whatever your issue might be. And a lot of guys are attracted to me because I went to prison, because of some of the things that I went through in life. And the greatest part about what I'm doing is I've been able to change people's lives
Yes.
in just a few hours because the secret is what we discussed, what you brought up earlier. The answer's already within you.
Yeah.
Everything you need
Yes.
is
It's
inside
already-
you.
Yes.
But understanding that, having confidence, being able to unpack it,
Yes.
being able
Look
to
at the-
unpack
look at
it.
this shit.
I see.
Look at
Wow.
this shit.
I love that.
Seriously.
But, being able to unpack it.
Yep.
And it's been one of the...
But they need to believe it, and they need to kind of find their own journey and figure out that they gotta ask themselves the questions and truly believe it.
I'm
And
very convincing.
Yes, and what happened is
I persuade them to
just
see.
even the blueprint.
Correct.
And because it's you know what I mean, people need also like we need can you imagine if somebody gives our blueprint like 20, 30 years ago? We learned the hard way. You don't have to learn the hard way.
Right.
There is a fucking easier way to do this
Right,
shit.
right.
You know what I mean? Like right now, I have nobody to freaking follow. I gotta figure this shit out, unfortunately. But on this level, it's like so many levels. There's so many people. Just walk the walk, but follow the people that walk the walk. Not they just what I mean.
Sometimes a man, and I'm actually mentoring women now too. And I'm doing some pro bono work because some people can't afford to pay. You know what? Then I'm going to help you. I'm not going to. But as a man, sometimes it just takes another man to look you in the eye and say, "Bro, you got this. You got this." And then you're like, "No, well, I don't know, bro. You got this. Let me show you why." And in an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, I'm drilled down. I am at this long enough. I have seen the lowest of the lows, bro. I have seen the lowest of the lows. I mean, physically and literally, and the highest of the highs. There's I like to say when people say, so, tell me about your life. I said, I have a bucket list life. What everybody else has on their bucket list, I already did. I did. I was like a doped up kid in my 20s with millions of dollars, able to make money, and all I did was basically hang around with the richest men in the world and advise them on things like stock markets, et cetera, portfolio management, wealth, all these different things. Ultimately, where to hide money, how to park money, et cetera, all these different things. And I became very plugged into every area that I served. And you just need to hear it from another guy.
You need somebody to believe in you or give a different perspective.
Even just to say it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay. Let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because I did it in the stock market. So I was a guy. It was at the time I went into the stock market in the early '80s. It was virtually no women, and the women that were there were more men than the men. The women you had to be a beast because the men abused you and took advantage of you, and you can imagine. It was a guys' club, and it's you just want another guy to say it's okay. This is how to do it. Like mentorship was a huge thing for me, but I didn't have mentors like that. I could just go send a DM and say, Jarek, do you think I could talk to you? Can you help me? I mean, I had to knock on doors and say, excuse me, would you mind if I just sit in your office and listen and take notes? No, kid, sorry. No, kid, sorry. Then one guy would say, all right, but do me a favor. Come in at 3:30. You could stay till 4:30, but I don't want you to say anything. Don't make a sound. Good. Mike Kavanaugh, thank you for all those times you let me sit in your office and take notes. This guy was 1984. He used to drive to Wall Street in a convertible Rolls Royce in New York City. Today everybody's got a Rolls Royce. In those days, nobody had a Rolls Royce. Yeah. And this guy was driving down, and I was in my 20s. He was only in his 30s, but it seemed like he was an older guy, And he used to drive down. He had a convertible Rolls Royce, parked in the Wall Street garage, and everybody, all the kids would be like, wow, this guy's the man. And he was the man. He was a tremendous broker, a tremendous sales guy. But I constantly had what you call a rabbi, a teacher, a mentor.
We all needed someone.
Right.
If I tell people, when I tell people how much money I spend on the coaches, Like people like, what? I'm like,
Can't spend enough.
Yes, I'm like, I need coach for everything.
That's good though.
For everything,
bro. That's the best thing in the world. You get somebody that knows what you don't know.
Okay. So Russell, tell me, where can we find you?
Ross Mandell, ROSSMAN like Nancy, D like David, ELL. RossMandell.com is my website. The real Ross Mandell on YouTube.
We're gonna put the links, and we're gonna
Beautiful.
put everything.
We're gonna collaborate. I hope. Ross
yes.
Mandell on Instagram, on Facebook. I have a Ross Mandell Boca Raton. I have a public page and a friend's page. I'm on TikTok, Ross Mandell.
There you go.
I'm on every sort of LinkedIn.
Follow Russell. Subscribe to our podcast, and I guys see you. Hopefully that was very helpful, and hopefully you guys follow us. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Leave your comments and subscribe for more insights on mastering the inner and outer wealth.